All right, so just kind of demonstrating what this environment's all about for the JDXI. Now there are two ways to hook up any external thing, and a lot of people will come up here to track, and they'll do a new track, and they'll hit this, and then external Midi or device. And this is one way to do it, and you definitely get some benefits to doing it this way. Primarily that you get to, I'm going to delete this, delete track. Primarily that you get to add plugins and stuff like that to here, but you cannot control it through the environment that way. It's just a different way of connecting. So this is an internal drum machine. This is a different way. So if you go open up the environment, on this particular template I'm going to be sending you, I went ahead and put the Midi in here. I think you can put it in any of these layers, but I put it in the Midi just so it's a little bit easier to understand. And of course, these are my physical inputs right here. And of course, the sequencer input. So I'm doing the X7 as my keyboard controller. But basically, I've set up this item here as the JDXI. And then you also want to be able to switch patterns, and you'll have stuff set up like basically how your effects might be set up, which effects are routed, that sort of thing. So you still will be reliant a little bit on patterns, but more the settings that are part of patterns. So for the patterns, I've only got channel 16, and then if you let's see, take a look. I wonder if I can double click here. Yeah. I've only allocated a number of banks, A all the way through G, but you can add more. You can go to bank 4, and what you'll have to do though is you'll have to come in here to bank settings and set up those additional banks. And if you need help with that, let me know. I mean, basically, if you right click here and you come down to define custom bank messages, I have bank 0, 1, 2, and 3, but you may need to set up additional banks for those others, depending on what those values are. That should be in the manual. I know it's a lot of setup, so I don't want to overwhelm you right now. The nice thing is most of this is set up. Now the standard JDXI, we've got channel 1, which is FM1, 2, which is FM2, 3, which is analog, and 10, which are the drums. So I also have each of those set up. If you look in the banks, so bank 1 is for the FM, and it's the first batch of FM voices. Then you got a second batch of FM voices. And then on the third bank, you've got the analog voices. And then on the final bank here, because when I say third, fourth, it starts at 0. So these are the drum kits. Okay, so we can kind of just see how that is. Anyway, so this is kind of like the meat and potatoes of everything. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way and kind of show you how to start a track again. I come up here to track and I do a new external Midi track. Okay, and as you can see, it just pulled up a standard, but over here I have a number of selections. I don't think you will have those. Well, let's see, JDXI 1, and then we've basically set that up over here. Make sure channel 1, you want to make sure your bank is on either a 1 or 2 for the FM. And then I'm just going to call this, it'll say JDX FM1 in the template I'll send you. So let's create a couple more. Technically, you could just delete this. I mean, duplicate this is what I meant. You could go to channel 2, and you could set this to bank 1, which is also FM 1 and 2. And then set a voice. So for instance, say on the voice 1, you want some kind of string pad. I mean, any of these are awesome. Let's start with that. And then on voice 2, you want kind of a lead. Do I see any leads? I see some basses, but we'll leave analog for that. So maybe a sequence sound, Whereas this one's more nice string, right? Okay, and then we'll duplicate this. Channel 3 is our analog channel, and so you want the bank to be right there, and then you can choose your sounds. So I mean, gosh, I don't know, take your pick. Let's go to Res Buzzsaw. And then finally, we're going to add a drum, so we'll duplicate this one more time. Oops. Channel 10 is our drums, and that'll be the final bank. One thing you want to make sure over here on the environment is when you have drums, you don't want this checked, the GM, the General MIDI drum program, because those won't. It'll overwrite, not overwrite, but just it won't show the drum settings as we have them here. But now you can come down to these settings and choose a kit. So, I mean, say you want a 909. Or maybe you want more of a, like I used to have a 626. So let's go with that. That's fine. So now we got all four set up. That's pretty cool. And what's kind of cool, as I mentioned, you can set up your external also this way, but you won't be able to control it with the environment. You won't be able to do the patch changes. You will be able to add an arpeggiator on top and certain MIDI plugins, so that certainly is nice. You cannot do that in this mode. However, you do get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different controls, which are assignable. So for instance, let's see here. It's going to be based on your setting, and this isn't from 0 to 100. It's like literally from 0 to 100. It's more like 127, I mean. It's more like, I guess that's a bad example. Let's use the pluck. More reverb, less reverb. Choir, I think, is delay, so maybe you want more delay. That's kind of cool. Frequency, I set up frequency. It's really brightness. I don't know. But, you know, maybe you want a brighter frequency, so. I'm doing pan, darn it. Down here, frequency. And then you could actually go in here and you can automate that. What do we call it? Brightness? Yeah. So you could actually automate and draw in that. So if we recorded something. So say we had that, and then what we can do is we can do our automation. So just put a bunch of things here, but you know, you could do it however you want. I want more highs, but there you go. Maybe you do more shells of this happening, but anyway. Anyway, so you get it. And then finally the drums. Let me turn this off, bring this back down, and then the analog. Same dealio. Analog, you get to choose your voice. We kind of picked a Rezo saw. Maybe too much now this must have like a reverb kind of built in, so I don't know how well that's right. And then finally your drums, we got a 1 drum kit. And then you are ready to sequence away on the JDXI, and you can record in or record the MIDI sends from a certain pattern and then kind of like mess with them or build a song or that sort of thing. Some other things, you need to make sure your JDXI is set to the right channels and that it's sending. You obviously need to make sure it's connected. You also need to check, let's see if I have it open. You need to check your audio, not your audio, but your show Media Studio. It needs to be showing up. Make sure you have the driver all set up. I don't have anything special on this. Of course, I have a lot of other stuff here, but I didn't create anything extra for this like I had to for the System 8. But to make sure that's hooked up. I know there's a few other things that get in the way, but I bet you this will probably work for you. I actually running the audio out through a mixer into my studio monitors, so it's not going through. If you needed to run the JDXI internally, you would probably need to create a new audio track. You would need to make sure that audio track input, I'm not even sure what my audio input is right now, but we can set it up that way. If you're running through a USB, you want your audio input to be the JDXI, right? Or if you have some kind of aggregate setup, I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about. Let me mute these inputs on the mixer. And then, of course, you need to be monitoring this. Do I have it set up? I guess I do. You're likely to get some delay. I don't quite have this set up right, obviously. But that's how you would have to run the audio input if you're trying to do the USB audio as well. So just kind of a heads up there. Other than that, I'll send you this. I'm not going to include the audio. I'll have like a little sequence in there. It's really lame, but hopefully that'll help you. Thanks. Bye.